All right, then. So now what we are going to do is, so we are going to create something like this store switcher. So in order to do that, and let me get back to the main nav or nav bar. Yep, this is the place. So I'm just going to say, and I'm just going to say store switcher. Okay, store switcher. Right. So this store switcher is the thing that we are need to do. Okay. So over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new component called store switcher dot tsx, right? And I'm going to copy this name because that's the name that we are going to use it. Okay, so this is supposed to be the client component, use client. Then we need to create a type first. So first I'm going to create a type because since we are going to use this popover, so we are going to use this combo box. If you search for combo box, this is the one. But if you wish to use this combo box, you can see if you are searching something, it's going to give you the no record fonts or something like that. So if you wish to use this, you need to use this popover and command. So that's the thing. So if you click that popover, copy this, and let's install it first. Terminate it, install it. And you have to install the command as well. So let's get back over here and click the command because this is the command that we are going to use. And let's copy this command as well as and paste it over here. And now let's jump back to the combo box. All right, fine. See, this is how you need to set your popover and everything. So then let me say npm run dev. Okay, so you can use this documentation for your reference, but anyways, we are going to create it completely from the ground, right? So first I need to fix the type. So type of this is going to be pop over trigger props is equals to react dot component props without reference, right? So we need to trigger this prop over reference without any reference. That's the reason. So type, which is going to be the type of popover trigger, which is coming from this UI popover trigger. And let's make sure this as @/components, something like this, right? Then I need to say interface store switcher props, which is going to extend this specific popover trigger props which we created. Then and it's going to receive all the items as the store type of array, right? That's the props that is going to receive. Then all we have to do is to say array fc, and let's say store switcher, and it's going to extend that prop from store switcher props, and it's need to receive the items inside. Save these changes and let's bring it over here, import it. Still it will going to return the error because we don't have any items. So simply for the time being, I'm just returning an empty array. Save these changes. Fine. Later we need to fetch the data and we need to send it inside, right? So those things we need to do. All right. So now what I need to do is I need to get the necessary things over here. So first let's see. So const params is equals to use params. We need to fetch that from there. Make sure that is coming from the React navigation. Then we need to get the router. So const router is equals to use router, which is also coming from next navigation. Then now what I need to do is, so I need the ID and I need the name of the store alone. So I'm just going to format it. So const formatted stores is equals to items dot map. I'm going to get every single item out of it, and I'm going to return this value object. So which is going to be the label, and it's going to be the item dot name. Then I'm going to get the value, which is going to be the item dot ID. That's it. These are the two things. Then I need to get the current store information. So const current store is equals to, from the formatted stores, we're going to find that. So find, using the find option, I'm going to find function, I'm going to get the every single item out of it. Then I'm going to match that. If the item dot value, which means the ID, the item dot value is equals to the params, params dot store ID. If it is equals to that, then we have our current store ID in our hand. Let me enable the verb wrap. Okay, so right after here, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one more function. So const on store select, const on store select is equals to, open it. So in this on store, we are going to send the store, and that store is going to have this object, which is going to be the value and which is going to be the string. Then it's going to have the label, and that is also going to be the string. These are the two things we have inside here. Right now, this is going to be, whenever I click the store, I'm just going to remove this popover. For instance, if I click this, I need to remove this popover, right? So that's the reason. So to do that, we need a state first. So over here, use state. Let's say open, set open. By default, it's going to be false. And here I'm just going to say set open as false. And I need to push that user to that specific store, because once the user opened it and if he clicks the store, we are pushing, we are push that store information to this, and we're making it false, and we're pushing the user to that specific store ID. That's the reason. So here router dot push the user to that specific. So dynamic string literals, open the dollar. Okay, sorry. And here I need to push the user to the store dot value to that specific ID, right? Cool. Now it is finished, and now all we have to do is to do the exact same stuff what they did over here. Popover trigger and button and the command with the search input and everything. We have to do those, all the options one after another, right? Or what we can do is we can simply copy it from here, copy it, and we can simply paste it over here, right? Don't worry about these issues, we can fix it. So make sure that is coming from at components UI popover, and button also coming from the same thing. Let's change that to at slash components, something like that, right? Then so this values and all those things are different. So the chevron, it's coming from Lucid React. So don't worry, this is defaultly installed with your chat.cn. Then components, then command is also coming from your dot slash UI slash components. So change this to at slash components, bingo. And let's do the same thing for command input. Do the same thing for your command components, and do the same thing for your command groups and for command items. And okay, so now we don't have the set value and all those things. Okay, so what we have to do is for the time being, let's ignore this on select, okay? And this, wherever the term, the frameworks we are using, that is supposed to be formatted stores, and this value, which is nothing but your so here we are getting the format. Like, let's fix it one by one. So formatted store, and let's change this to store dot value, and let's get this check item also, lucid icon, and the cn which is coming from library, and here store that value, which is going to be, this value is going to be current store dot value. And let's do the same thing over here, current store dot value, if it is equals to current store dot value. So I have to get that label and I have to display select store, something like this, no store found. Save these changes. Now you should get that. Refresh this. So we should get that store information over here. Okay, so we're having it. Currently we don't have any stores because we are not fetching any items or anything. So what we have to do, we have to fetch the items from here. So let's get back to your nav bar, because that's the place where we have to fetch this informations and everything. Let's change this nav bar to the asynchronous, and I need to fetch the user ID. So const is equals to auth. From the auth, I'm going to get that user ID. Then if we don't have the user ID, then we need to redirect to the user, make sure that is being imported from the next navigation, sign in. If we do, then we need to get the store snap, okay, is equals to await get docs, import it, and use the query, open it, then collection, then open the database instance, then use the stores collection, make sure it's a lowercase. Then I'm just going to say where this user ID should be equals to the authenticated user ID, right? Then let stores, it's going to be an empty array as the store of this specific array. That's the proper way to do it. Then we have to say store snap dot for each. I'm going to get the single store, or I'm going to get that single doc outside of it, and I'm going to return as a function. So const data is equals to what we can do is we can directly do that, store dot push stores dot push the doc dot data. Okay, so we are going to push that doc dot data, and of course it is going to return an error, and which is going to be as a store, oops, data like this, then as a store. Now the issue will be solved, right? So now we have all the informations in this stores. Now I just need to pass this stores over here. That's an array of stores. Save this changes, and now undefined is not iteratable. Which means over here, I think so. Yep, here we go. Now you can see we are getting the current store value, that is the test store. Whenever I click this, I'm getting an error over here, so question mark over here. Come on. So wherever I'm using the formatted store, it's better to use the question mark, because that is the issue. I think so. Why we are getting this issue? Where we are getting this issue, let's check in the console. where we are getting this issue. Refresh this. We are getting the store name now. It's because it is figured out that it's find out that value, and over here the formatted stores, this is the place it is showing that issue. I think what we have to do is this entire stuff needs to be wrapped inside the command list like this. Now here we go. See, the problem is because this command group, it's rendering dynamically, so it should be wrapped inside the command list, but it's not inside over here. See, they simply render it like this. So now if I over here, if I search for something else, you can see it's saying that store is not there. But if I search for that test, see, still it's showing that the store is not there, right? So the problem is I can't click anything. See, it's literally disabled. This is the problem with the popover and command with the chat scene if you're using the default one. So, but if you're right after here, so over here, see, if you try to create one more option to create a store just like this, create a store just like this, it is not going to work. The reason is because I don't know, because the chatc and popover and command, it's not working as it's supposed to be what they are mentioned over here. I'm facing this issue every time when I'm working with this popover and command alone. This particular option, it's been completely disabled. You can see we can't do, literally I can't even select it, so it's completely disabled. So in order to do this, we have to recreate this completely by ourselves. So I just want to show you that it is not working, so we are going to redesign it by ourselves. Okay, so in order to do that, now what we are going to do is so all we have to do is to recreate this input button. So this is the place where we are getting that input and options and everything. So select store, it's working perfectly. So the trigger options and everything is working perfectly as it's supposed to be, right? So the popover content is the one that which is making problem for us. So right before here, I need to bring the store icon. So let's bring the store icon, which is coming from the lucid icon, and the class name, which is going to be margin right, which needs some space. So margin right, height, it's going to be 4, w, it's going to be 4. So now we have the store icon over there. And then inside the popover content, inside the command right over here, I don't need this tool because we are going to create ourselves, right? So I'm going to delete this and I'm going to create a division, and inside this division I'm just going to make sure, say that class name width, of course always it's going to be full, and px it's going to be 2, py it's going to be 1, and flex, item center, and border, we need to have some border, and rounded it's going to be medium, and border it's going to be gray, border it's going to be gray 100. Okay, and inside this we need to have the store icon as well as, so I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it over here. Then I need to have so I need to make sure this should not shrink always, so minimum width always it's going to be 4, minimum width it's always going to be the 4. Then right after here I'm going to bring an input tag, text it's going to be type text, and the placeholder it's going to be search store. Then it's need to have on change I need to handle the search term, so that's a function we haven't created. So class name, which is going to be flex 1, it should always occupy the complete length, width the full, and outline should be none. So let's go ahead and handle the search term. So I'm gonna create a function over here called handle search term. Copy this. Right after here I'm gonna say const handle search term, which is going to be an arrow function, and it's going to get an event which is going to be the type of any, right? and here we need to get a state. So let's say use state snippet, and it's going to be search term, and that is going to be the initially the string value. And here I'm just going to say set search term of e dot target dot value. Okay, so now right after here, save this. So far it's fine. Then this is how it looks. We have ourselves the store now. Then right after that, now what I need to do is I'm gonna recreate the complete command list, this command group over here. This command group is going to have a heading as stores. Okay, which is going to be stores. Okay, fine. Now let's save this changes and let's check it out. This is how it looks. Okay, fine, that's fine so far. Then what we have to do is this is the place where we don't need to render any of this command items over here. So I don't need this. I can simply delete it. Okay, so here now whenever the user is going to search something, we are going to filter it, right? So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one more state over here. So use state snippet, which is going to be filtered, and this is going to be an empty array, and which is going to be the type, of this specific objects over here, label, and which is going to be string, and value, which is going to be the string. Okay, so still we're having an error over there. The reason is because this should be an array of objects. Now you can fix that issue over there. Fine. So now whenever you're filtering it, so over here I just need to say set filter, which is going to be enter here. I'm just going to say formatted stores dot filter. I'm going to open it. I'm going to get that item outside. All right, and I'm just going to say item dot label dot to lowercase. We need to convert that to a lowercase, and that should includes the search term, and we have to convert that also to the lowercase. Okay, so we are converting it. Now we have the filtered data also. So over here, now what I need to do is right after here, so let's open this and let's say search term. If I have this, so this is supposed to be formatted stores. So okay, so what we have to do, let's literally delete this completely. Don't worry, literally delete it. And here I'm just going to say search term. If that search term is equals to empty, that means we have to display something else, right? If it is equals to empty, so we have to display the formatted stores dot map. We'll get that item outside and then we'll render this. Okay, so to display that list of items, of course we need to create a separate component. So we are going to create a separate component called store list item. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new component over here, store list item dot tsx. All right, so that is going to be use client component, and here we are going to create an interface. It's going to be store list item props. Open it, and that is going to return as store, and which is going to be the any specific, because we are not getting the store complete store, we are getting only label and value. And on select, that is going to be a callback function, which is going to return a void, and inside here you are going to get the store, and that is also going to be any data type, and is checked, which means that is the selected item or not. So that is going to be the boolean, right? So here I'm just going to say rafc, and that is going to be store list item, and we don't need this import statement here. And let's get that prop over here, store list item, oops, props. and here let's get that store, and let's get that on select option, and let's get that is checked option, and inside this I'm gonna get that division, and let me enable the word wrap so you can follow me here. So here class name, which is going to be flex, item center, px it's going to be 2, py it's going to be 1, and the cursor is going to be pointer. Whenever I'm hovering it, bg gray it should be 50, and text muted should be 400, and whenever I'm hovering it, the text color should be text primary, right? Cool. Now inside here, whenever I'm clicking it on click, whenever I click it, I'm going to call a callback function, and then I'm going to set that on select method which we have, and I'm going to set that store itself, right? So that means we are selecting that store. That's the reason. Then enter over here. Then I need to bring that store icon from the lucid, or we can simply bring the store from the lucid icon, and let's say class name, which is going to be margin right is going to be 2, and height is going to be 4, and width is going to be 4. Then I'm going to have the paragraph tag, which is going to be the class width full. The reason why I'm going to keep the width full, because at some point store name might be very big, so we need to truncate those things. So text sum, and white space no wrap, and inside here we need to get that store dot label, right? Then we need to get this check lucid icon and class name, and we are going to use this cn, open it. The default styles, it's going to be margin left, it's going to be auto, width is going to be 4, height is going to be 4, and comma right after here. What I'm going to do is so this is, if it is checked, that means if it is selected, then the opacity it's going to be 100%. If it is not, the opacity it's going to be 0. Save the change. All right, so this is all about this store list item. So let's go here, and I'm going to bring that store list items, save this. Okay, so I need to supply the store, so which is going to be your item itself, item, and I need to supply the key, and which is going to be your item dot value, or we can get the index and we can supply that index. Let's get that index itself, comma index, and supply that index to here. Now we fix it, and now what I need to do is I need to supply the on select method, right? So that's the reason we have this on select method over here. So on select, I'm going to say on store select. That's the method you need to supply. Then you need to supply the is checked. So if it is checked, which means if the current store dot value, so this is supposed to be question mark. So if the current store dot value is equals to the item dot value, if it is equal to that, then it should be send the value as true, right? If it is not, of course, over here what we are going to do, we are going to check the filter, which means, see, if that is, if it is the search term is empty, that means we don't, the user is not searched anything, so we need to render everything. If it is not empty, that means there is something on the filtered. So if the filtered length is greater than 0, right? If the filter length is greater than 0, then I need to display something. If not, then I need to display something, right? If the filter length is greater than 0, that means I need to do the same stuff over here, copy it and paste it over here, and instead of formatted, I'm going to use the filtered. That's the difference. If it is not, I'm just going to say over here command empty. I'm just going to say no store font. That's the thing. Save the changes. Now if I refresh this, if I get over here, and you can see we are having this highlight options and everything, and if I'm searching something like sample or something, you can see we are getting no stores available. If I type test, still the test store is there. That's looking good, right? So And after underneath it, we need to create one more options for the user to create himself a new store. So that's what we are going to do now. So what I'm going to do is create, this is the command group and the command list. And right after here, I'm going to say command separator, which is coming from this. And here I'm going to create one more command list. And inside here, I'm going to create a command group. And inside here, I'm going to say create new store, something like this, store item. Okay, so for this, we're going to have on click function, and that is going to be a callback function, and which is going to set open as false. And of course, it is going to say store model. So we have to get that store model, right? So over here, what I have to do is right after here, const store model is going to be use store model. So now I can push that to store model dot on open, something like this. But still we don't have this. So let's go ahead and create that. Create store item dot tsx, right? So we are going to create a new store item over here. So let me make this as use client, and I'm gonna say rafc store new store, and I don't need this. And here I'm going to create an interface. So create store item dot props, which is going to be an on click, and that is going to be an void function, void, and that needs to be here. So create new store item props, and we are going to get that on click, and we are going to import this from here. So the issue will be rectified over there. So don't worry about this error. We'll fix that right now. Okay. So now it is fixed. And now here for this, I'm going to say on click. I'm going to refer that on click, right? So for this, I'm going to have a class name, which is going to be flex item center, and bg grade is going to be 50. And the padding it's going to be 2, and padding it's going to be 1, and the cursor is going to be pointer, and the text is going to be muted for 100, and for hover I'm just going to say text primary. All right, these are the things. And inside here, inside this division, so let me enable the word wrap so we can see it. And inside here, instead of create store item alone, I'm going to bring the plus circle icon from the Lucid React, and I'm going to say margin right, it's going to be true, and height, of course, it's going to be 5, and width, of course, it's going to be 5. Then I'm just going to say create store, save this change. And now if you check it out over here, we have this nice options to create a store. If I click this, that is going to bring a new store option where I can able to create a new store. Let's say testing store 2 or something. And if I click continue, that is going to create a new store. And that store should be our current store, and you can see that is our active store. And if I click this test store, now we are inside our test store 1. So we completely rebuilt our the popover and command options because the default is not working for us. I don't know why it's not working, but we successfully recreated the entire stuff, and it's working perfectly as it's supposed to be, right? So now let's go ahead and focus on this settings page, and that's what we are going to do next.